way, but a great point. Yes.
I want to get back to your because I get off track so much. People lose their minds. So you were a blackjack and craps. You were a degenerate.
I would literally, I talk about it all the time. I had this hot girlfriend that lived in Tahoe, really good mountain biker, just perfect girl. And I would rather, she was fit.
That was on her profile on JDate. It's like, I'm hot and I'm a mountain biker, and you just went, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. Well, she was actually my secretary, and that's how it mattered.
It's nice that you date a mountain biker in Vegas where it's completely flat.
Yeah. Tahoe. We moved to Tahoe.
Oh, Tahoe.
Couldn't do Vegas.
I apologize.
Tahoe. Vegas was too much for me. Moved to Tahoe, great little town, and I couldn't handle it. Got in a lot of trouble. Owed a bookie a bunch of money, and I ran
$40,000.
Yeah, $40,000.
And how much were you making a year?
I was making about 28.
So 3 years salary after taxes.
Yeah,
is what you owe this guy.
Yeah, about. And I was only there 4 months.
Wow, you ran it up that quick?
Yeah, it was an awesome 4 months, man. Best money I ever spent. I mean, it was awesome.
You're smiling as you tell me that.
Well,
like you're looking back at getting your nose broken as a degenerate gambler, like it was the best.
Well, it was the best thing that happened to me. I mean, in working with hoarders, you have to believe that you got to hit rock bottom to get back up. And so that was my rock bottom. So I love that story. I mean, it cracks me up because, it didn't make sense at the time. Calling your family to ask for money, not a fun thing to do. Yeah. But now I love it because, man, without that rock bottom, I wouldn't have the life I'm having now. I mean, I was so low that I had to believe all the shit I was going through was going to pay off sometime later.
Did you believe it at the time? That's the hard part.
I did. I think I was probably half lying to myself and half just really focused. And I really believed I would make a difference at some point. And, I always look back and go, was I the most focused guy in the world or was I completely delusional? Now, being on TV and having a book, you can say, oh, man, this guy was brilliant. Part of it's luck. A lot of it's timing, like you talked about in that book.
There's a lot of timing in your case.
Tons.
Because now,
story after story.
Aunt and your grandmother, were they both hoarders?
My grandmother was not. She was just depressed. Her husband had died, and she was sad.
So, with your aunt, you had practiced cleaning someone's house who had a sickness.
Yeah, probably 20 times.
Of hoarding.
Yeah, and not knowing what it was.
And with your grandmother, it coincides.
The grief.
There's this confluence of you cleaning for a hoarder and then also counseling somebody who's completely depressed and grief-stricken.
Yeah, and after my dad died, I went into a children's grief camp called Comfort Zone Camp. Anybody wants to check it out if you got a child that's lost a parent. It's called Comfort Zone Camp, amazing place. That was when I got clean from gambling. I just totally just jumped into that world of basically it's a camp for kids that have lost a parent. And I was a counselor. Every weekend, you'd spend 3 days with them every weekend. And that was my new addiction. And so I had 2 years straight of learning how to counsel young kids that had a loss. And then I'm with my grandma accidentally. She's being nice because I couldn't pay rent. She's paying me $500 to clean her basement. And at the same time, I'm realizing this is kind of like my aunt's house. And she's really sad, like these young kids. And it was just a bam. That moment, it was like, wait a minute. It's not the stuff. It's the stories behind the stuff. And I just, instead of yelling at my grandma to get rid of the things, I said, tell me stories about Grandpa. And we just started talking about these stories. And so really, I was just visiting and hanging out and talking. And it all of a sudden, she let everything go. Because she was telling these great, it was the emotion. It was not the physical stuff.
Did you see her get happier in your time there?
Totally. She started to smile. She started to laugh. She really enjoyed the cool stories. I mean, for her, she was living again. She was fully depressed because she wasn't grieving.
It's fascinating to me because, again, like I guess there are overnight successes, but for you, you're a guy, you graduate from college as an economist. You're going to consult Caesar's Palace. Yeah. You go to Vegas. You go to Reno. Tahoe. And you realize...
I'd never go to Reno.
I'm playing a casino in Reno. I forget the name of it.
The country.
I'm going to figure out what it is and say it on the air. We'll get people in there. And, but then I just think it's fascinating that where you are now, that you had this odd, it's a horrible thing to have happen, to have an aunt that's a hoarder and you have to keep going back and cleaning. And you must have been so confused cleaning your aunt's house the next time.
I could never, because I really dug her. She was a cool lady. And she's really, BB was her name, Aunt BB. Loved her. Awesome woman. Just hilarious woman. Can I tell a good side story about her? Hilarious.
Well, Doug Benson suggested we call this More Digressions. More Digressions. So please, someone else going off track is better.
So BB's just she's 92 now. She's still with us, still alive.
Hi, Aunt BB.
She is,
throw it away, Aunt BB.
She's actually dying of Alzheimer's, so she's probably not listening. But
should I say it again?
Yeah, say it 20 times, she's not going to hear you.
All right.
She actually doesn't know how to chew anymore. Her brain has told her she doesn't remember how to chew.
I like that you think this is funny.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's crazy how the brain works.
If you don't laugh,
you don't laugh at this, you're not going to laugh at anything. But BB, I'd love her.
She forgot how to chew.
Her brain doesn't tell her to chew anymore, so they have to actually serve her liquids now because her brain's just stopped working.
Why don't they just get a mama bird?
That is a phenomenal idea. You're going to revolutionize
medicine.
Healthcare.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Just get big birds, like an old crow, to just sit on your bed.
More medicine. I like it.
Yeah.
We're going to kill it.
Hospital food, and you just regurgitate it into the patient's mouth. They don't have to know how to chew. They just stick it all the way down there.
Oh, you're going to change medicine.
I would like to.
Yeah.
So Aunt BB.
So BB, old school Southern lady, right? I mean, old school, which means racist.
Yeah.
You know? And
well, that's just the way we talk. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, she's just old school. And my church that we go to, grown up my whole life, 5th generation in this church, and we have a bunch of gay and lesbian members. And we just knew she couldn't really understand that all these women that she was friends with were gay. And we said, now, BB, you get that she had this fabulous couple that she hangs out with. These ladies were out in the 50s, which I think is amazing. To be publicly as badass, absolutely. Yeah. Amazing women. And we said, now, BB, you know that they're not just friends, right? Like, she goes, I know. They're in love. And we're like, wow, BB's changing. And she goes, as long as they're not black or Jewish, I really don't care.
Oh, my God.
And we were so... You get so high, and she didn't use the word black, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And as long, the great thing is that right now, Aunt BB, is she in a hospital? And I guarantee you, she has a Dominican and a black nurse.
Absolutely. And her best friends.
And a Jewish doctor.
Oh, yeah. And BB, she didn't mean, she's just old school. She's a great, loving lady. But anyway, so BB taught me pretty much everything I know about cleaning out houses. I mean, she would work with me. And it's ironic that 10 years later, I'm using all the methods that I learned when I was working with her and my grandma.
Yeah, you came in at a time, like I'm sure now you can go to like Learning Annex and get a class taught by someone like you as to how to deal, like the five decisions.
If you go to 5decisionsaway.com, you can actually take a class from me in clutter cleaning.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But like you were the guy. You were the guy. Yeah. You said you figured it out as you went, and then I
wrote it down.
That's pretty. My wife. Obviously, you've listened to the podcast. You know we're obsessed with Randy Land, and we'll get to Sir Patrick, who turned out to be a freaking child molester. After I talked well about him, everyone on Twitter goes, really? It shows me 9 different mugshots with 6 different wigs.
He had like 50 different identities. Like
I
should
have known when there was a blow-up doll in the passenger seat of his Cadillac. I thought he was an actual tunnel rat, because he said he was like a tunnel rat in Vietnam, and I thought he probably like slit people's throats with his bare hands. Like, let the guy have his stuff.
He ended up getting... apparently, it's a felony to wear medals if you haven't earned them.
Yeah,
yeah, and I get that.
Officers?
Yeah, and he got in a lot of trouble.
So was he ever in Vietnam?
No, never.
So everything was a lie.
Everything was a lie. His whole life was a lie.
And he acted a little gay. Well, on the show, he came across very effeminate.
Effeminate. I think that was his character. He definitely played his whole life was fake. It wasn't real. He definitely had a role in his mind that he wanted to play. That's one thing I love about Hoarders. All we do is just turn the camera on, and we watch. We don't have to make up anything. It's so neat to just see how these people create their life. And for him, my job on Hoarders is to not judge anybody, no matter how out there they are. My job is to find the good in that person. Everyone else can get mad at them, but I have to believe that I can help this person. For someone like I didn't do Sir Patrick's, but I did consult on it and got to talk to him. The more you work something like that, it doesn't matter how crazy they are. You just have to find the good in them. And for him, his whole life was a lie. You just couldn't ever get anything real out of him, ever.
My wife thinks that the hoard, and she told this to you off the air too, is, you'll keep an eye on that, right?
Yeah, I'm watching.
Okay. My wife, do you want water or anything?
I'm good. I'm going to do a Red Bull in a minute.
Oh, you got it right there?
Yeah.
My wife says, like, she's way into the psychological. I watch a show for the train wreck like most Americans, and I'm like, and to me, I'm like, just throw it all away, screw them, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. And my wife thinks it's literally hoarding is literally a physical manifestation of the chaos on your insides, like cancer, but their cancers, it fills their homes. It doesn't fill their bodies. How is that?
Yeah.
Is she right?
First off, you always say your wife is brilliant. She's smarter than you. That right there, that brief analysis is proof. I mean, she breaks it down pretty amazingly there. I didn't even say it that well in my book. I mean, it really is. It's a physical.
When you redo the paperback, when they print it again, you can have it right to forward.
We'll have it right to forward. I like it. And it's. I mean, it is probably the only mental disorder out there that you actually visually see what's going on in their mind and their body. Wow. The best I've ever heard. A lady in Hawaii.
Aside from this?
Yeah. That's good.
That Hawaiian lady pissed me off because...
Her husband.
She lives in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. You should have seen the view from her house.
I know. The whole time I'm watching that Hawaii episode, I'm looking at Nick and I'm going, but they live in Hawaii. Clean the house and let us move in.
Once we pulled all the... I mean, it was a whole... It took us 2 days.
The husband slept in the car?
Husband slept in the car. He has nice
He's a real
dude.
Man. Real guy's guy.
He was in survival mode. He just didn't want to bitch with his wife anymore.
Yeah.
He gave up years ago. Good dude. But she said it best to me. She said, it's not that I can't let anything go. She goes, I need to know where it's going. She goes, I have a spreadsheet in my head and I need to check it off. And that was probably the best way I've ever heard it said from a hoarder. And it's just some hoarders it's like an Excel spreadsheet. It's so massive though. I mean, their brains are actually, they're dead on. They're very smart. They're just full.
But they never check it off.
They never check it off. That's the problem.
But it's the problem isn't the spreadsheet. The problem is
the following through and the checking it off.
The problem is, it's like if you're an alcoholic, the problem isn't, well, I'm trying to do some wacky analogy. The problem isn't that you enjoy the taste of wine. The problem is you can't stop. Right?
Yeah.
These people, would you say that most hoarders see it that way as a spreadsheet? And again, it goes back to intent.
A lot of it. I mean,
I'm going to give the newspaper boy his bags back.
Most of them.
But your aunt did.
She did one time, and then she just kept holding on to it.
But that one time, that's 365 days. Like, here you go, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Look, fucking quarter.
What is he going to do with them?
He probably reused them. But in her mind, she believed she was doing something better than a tip. So, like, in her mind, it was actually a positive intention. I mean, she really wanted to help the person. And most hoarders are that way.
I hope that kid listens to this podcast and goes, oh, my God, that was her?
That was her. I'm going to track Paxton down and get the money.
It is the only psychological disease that you can see.
Yes.
Outside the body, with the exception of, like, a rash that you see on the body.
Or growth or something,
Yeah, but that's on your body. So that's pretty interesting. That
the whole thing is fascinating because it's all mental. It's no one really wants to do it. I mean, to me, it's an amazing to get in. This is where I get from when I played poker or did blackjack. I mean, it's reading the person sitting next to you. Like when I get to a house with a hoarder, I have to totally break them down and read them. So, I mean, beyond deeper than anyone's ever read them because I have to basically manipulate the way I communicate with them to fit their mind. I can't communicate with them the way I want to communicate. I have to get it to fit how they're going to hear it because each mind works differently.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the ultimate sales job, really. I have to, in a 2-day time period, I have to completely communicate in their way, not my way.
There's two different. There's clutter cleaner.
Clutter cleaner is my business,
and then the trucks that come in.
That's 800 got junk.
That to me has always been a hang up. Like if you want to, you're not in control of that.
Oh no. They're 350 locations. They're massive.
But if you want to help a hoarder, when they look outside and there's 40 trucks in the street and everyone knows that your house and it actually says got junk. To a hoarder, you would think maybe like, hey, do you have a lot of precious stuff? Like maybe you could ease in, but just the word junk on the sides of those trucks, we've always thought to ourselves, there might be an easier in than the word junk.
Yeah, those guys are actually well trained. In fact, we train them quite a bit on the road with them. They're good. The name junk does trip us up sometimes for that exact reason. We say, well, my stuff's not junk.
Right.
It's important. It's
and
special.
The whole neighborhood sees these trucks.
Oh, ladies come on Facebook and tell us, they go, I get nervous when 800 got junk pulls up. Or now they say, like, we go out and we cheer and we clap when 800 got junk drives by.
Is hoarding an addiction or is it a disease?
It's a disorder. It's how they classify it. I treat it as an addiction. In my mind, it's really a what's the word? There's an addiction, and then there's I can't think of the word, but addiction is you actually have a chemical withdrawal, and you can't stop. They would psychologists would say you don't have a chemical withdrawal from acquiring.
But these people seem to really have a huge chemical withdrawal.
If you want to technically no, they don't, but mentally they do. I mean, they're stuck. I mean, it ruins their whole lives. They choose stuff over their kids. you have to get deeper and deeper and understand the why. That's the real key, is why did they act this way? Nobody wakes up and wants to be a hoarder. Something tragic has happened to them. Even a Sir Patrick or a Randy Land, something tragic happened deep in their life.
What happened to Randy, though? Because that was never on the show.
No, a lot. I mean, Randy Land could have been edited any different. It's people don't realize you film.
Just went, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. Well, she was actually my secretary, and that's not matter.
It's nice that you date a mountain biker in Vegas where it's completely flat.
Yeah. Tahoe. We moved to Tahoe.
Oh, Tahoe.
Couldn't do Vegas.
I apologize.
Tahoe. Vegas was too much for me. Moved to Tahoe, great little town, and I couldn't handle it. Got in a lot of trouble. Owed a bookie a bunch of money, and I ran out of town.
$40,000?
Yeah, $40,000.
And how much were you making a year?
I was making about 28.
So 2 years, 3 years salary after taxes.
Yeah,
is what you owe this guy.
Yeah, about.
And
I was only there 4 months.
Wow, you ran it up that quick?
Yeah, it was an awesome 4 months, man. Best money I ever spent. I mean, it was awesome.
You're smiling as you tell me that.
Well,
like you're looking back at getting your nose broken as a degenerate gambler, like it was the best.
What was the best thing that happened to me? I mean, in working with hoarders, you have to believe that you got to hit rock bottom to get back up, and so that was my rock bottom. So I love that story. I mean, it cracks me up because but a great point. Yes.
I want to get back to your because I get off track so much, people lose their minds. So you were a blackjack and craps. You were a degenerate.
I would literally. I mean, I talk about it all the time. I had this hot girlfriend that lived in Tahoe, really good mountain biker, just perfect girl. And I would rather. She was fit.
That was on her. That was on her profile on JDate. It's like, I'm hot and I'm a mountain biker, and you.
I mean, it didn't make sense at the time. Calling your family to ask for money, not a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
But now I love it because, man, without that rock bottom, I wouldn't have the life I'm having now. I mean, I was so low that I had to believe all the shit I was going through was going to pay off sometime later.
Did you believe it at the time? That's the hard part.
I did. I think I was probably half lying myself and half just really focused. And I really believed I would make a difference at some point. And, I always look back and go, was I the most focused guy in the world or was I completely delusional? Now, being on TV and having a book, you can say, oh, man, this guy was brilliant. Part of it's luck. A lot of it's timing, like you talked about in that book.
There's a lot of timing in your case.
Tons.
Because now
story
was your
after story.
aunt and your grandmother, looking back, were they both hoarders?
My grandmother was not. She was just depressed. Her husband had died and she was sad.
So with your aunt